And this is the most fun thing about this Dolphins season, for at least for the next couple of weeks. Now we get to see Tyreek Hill, another quarterback. I think Cooper Kupp's the best receiver in the NFL, like pretty clearly. But Tyreek is the guy I think who's most interesting in terms of overtaking him, just because of his Steph Curry kind of gravity and just the way that he bends defenses.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, just under 500 receiving yards through 4 games. 177 of them have been after the catch. 1 drop on 43 targets. Craziest one to me, Jay, 11 of those catches have been for 15-plus yards. He's just a big play machine.
He's just the cheat code, lapping the league in receiving yards. And I think people are concerned that, Teddy Bridgewater, check down Teddy. No, it's fine. When you got Tyreek Hill, Teddy threw it 61 yards in the air to him down the field. Like, I think Tyreek's going to be absolutely fine.
Let's take a look, courtesy of our friends at BetMGM, for most regular season receiving yards. Tyreek Hill, obviously the favorite at plus 550. He is the leader by 75 yards right now over Cooper Kupp. Jay, is there anybody on this board, though, that you're intrigued by the odds that's obviously not a favorite?
Well, I was going to say, I kind of like the 2 favorites, Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp.
Sometimes it's that easy.
Yeah, if I was placing bets, honestly, I would back both of those guys at those odds, and then you get like plus 200-ish for either of them to win. If you go further down, like I think Justin Jefferson at plus 1,000, he's definitely the guy who leaps out. But Jefferson has these games, like weeks 2 and 3, where he does get taken out. Like we saw what Darius Slay did to him, what Okudah did to him. So I think that Jefferson we probably thought he had a higher floor coming into this year, week to week, than he has, whereas Kupp just can't have bad games. Like Kupp is just going to get his 90 yards at
19
least.
targets.
Yeah, 50. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So Kupp and Hill, I think, rightfully are the 2 favorites.
So looking at the board there, obviously the betting market, we know Tua is out this week. We're assuming it's probably not just going to be a 1-week absence. The board right there is telling you that the betting market doesn't have the concern level about Teddy Bridgewater taking over Mike McDaniel's offense, and it sounded like you don't either.
Not really, and I'm probably higher on Tua than most people. I think that Tua kind of gets a tough rap, but I mean, on deep passes, which is allegedly Tua's weakness. I mean, coming into the Cincinnati game, he was the highest graded quarterback by PFF on deep passes. So he can throw it deep. It just doesn't always look pretty, and it doesn't go as far as Justin Herbert throws it. But in terms of how the betting market treats going from Tua to Teddy, just look at it like this. Miami, when it looked like Tua was going to miss against Cincinnati, the Bengals were 4.5-point favorites. Then Tua gets ruled in, goes down to 3.5. That tells you the difference between Tua and Teddy is 1 point.
Yeah, it's not that crazy. All right, let's get into some of the biggest Rotoworld headlines of the day. No more important of a place to start than what is going on with Jonathan Taylor. We don't know if he will be playing Thursday night with that ankle injury. They've only done the walkthrough portions of practice so far, so when you hear guys have missed it or are sitting aside, it doesn't mean much. Jonathan Taylor aside, Jay, this offense has been horrific.
Pretty bad.
A lot of it is Matt Ryan's ball security. A lot of it is also the offensive line. So let's assume Jonathan Taylor doesn't play. Is Nyheim Hines even worth starting in that spot?
I think he is. And firstly, the funny thing is, like Frank Reich before the season did this big thing about how we want to use Jonathan Taylor less, want to involve Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines has 8 carries on the season.
Neither has worked.
Yeah. Taylor, in the 3 games that were close, he has 72 carries across 3 games. If you throw out the Jacksonville game, which just got out of hand straight away and they couldn't run. So, look, I think Hines is the guy. Like, they're not going to just give it to Matt Ryan to drop back and throw 50 times because of how bad Matt Ryan has looked. As bad as Carson Wentz has looked, I think they've clearly downgraded the quarterback in the offseason. And, look, Deion Jackson, Phillip Lindsay, you're not too worried about those guys. And Hines isn't going to get JT-type workload, but you get 10, 12 carries, 4 or 5 receptions, and you're fine.
I think the thing for me that has to go up is the fact that he's got, 6 targets in 2 of the 4 games. The inconsistency. When I looked at Nyheim Hines before the season, there's a guy I thought that would be pretty consistent week in and week out, 6 to 8 targets. Matt Ryan's a guy that loved going to Cordarrelle Patterson with the Falcons last year around 8 times a game. So when you look at Hines, that needs to go up. Maybe with Taylor potentially off the field, that is exactly what happens, because the reality is we saw the Mo Alley Cox week last week, but the Colts are searching for any kind of answers with offensive weapons right now.
Yeah, they are. And look, I think that Matt Ryan, he should get better. I don't think he could be any worse than what he's shown. And he's still got Michael Pittman there where, the game where they looked worse was without Pittman. They've been able to move the ball okay when Pittman has played, but certainly you have to reduce the ceiling for pretty much everyone in this Colts offense, and it's going to be pretty ugly if Jonathan Taylor doesn't play tomorrow night.
And they will be playing the Denver Broncos, and Broncos offensive coordinator Justin Otten told reporters that Melvin Gordon would carry the load, obviously. So the Colts potentially without Jonathan Taylor. We know the Broncos are without Javonte Williams. That's going to be a theme throughout the season. Melvin Gordon shows up on the injury report this week with a neck injury, but it doesn't sound like they have any concerns of him not playing. Where is your confidence for Melvin Gordon? Because no matter how many times he fumbles, and he's already got 4 on the season, some very, very costly ones, the Broncos could be coach speak, but from what we've seen, it's not. Have full faith in him.
Yeah, carry the load, obviously. Fumble the load, obviously. Melvin Gordon. I think that, look, he is an established running back in the NFL. This isn't like a David Wilson Giant situation where he comes in and he fumbles and all of a sudden it's just the yips and then he's
you never see him again.
Yeah, and he's just gone. Whereas with Melvin Gordon, I mean, he's just so entrenched, and the drop-off to Latavius Murray, who they've just signed, to Mike Boone, I mean, Gordon should clearly be the guy, and he's been very fantasy relevant whenever he's gotten volume. So, look, I think that Melvin Gordon probably projects as a clear top 20 running back going forward. Doesn't have the upside of Javonte Williams, but he's clearly the guy you want in Denver, and you have to start him against Indianapolis.
Yeah, in 2022, RB42, around 7 points per game. But when you take Javonte Williams out of the equation, ball security issues aside, that's a big, big uptick in workload for Melvin Gordon. And their next 4, obviously they have the Colts coming to Denver on Thursday. They are at the Chargers. They are against the Jets and at Jacksonville. Not the worst schedule ahead for Melvin Gordon.
Not the worst. The one thing is that Melvin Gordon right now is the worst running back in the league by PFF. He's 57 out of 57, so that's just one thing to keep an eye on.
Fumbles devour your grade.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if he can hold on to the ball, I think Melvin Gordon will be fine.
All right, staying within that division, looking at the Chargers, who are labeling Keenan Allen day by day for Keenan Allen. He's been dealing with injuries, it feels like, as long as he's been fantasy relevant. On the flip side, Justin Herbert still leads the NFL in passing yards with 1,250. Feels like Herbert has reached the talent level where it's not that it doesn't matter who's out there, but he can survive a Keenan Allen injury.
Yeah, I just love that Keenan Allen is so injury prone with these niggling injuries. Like, it's not usually serious. He's literally just coined a new term for himself day by day.
Like the rest of us.
Day to day doesn't work for Keenan Allen. He has to be day by day. But yeah, Herbert is kind of almost context agnostic. Like, he's just that good. Obviously, Keenan Allen back will help, but the disappointing thing on the weekend was Josh Palmer doing nothing, whereas Gerald Everett, who is tight end 6 right now in fantasy, to the surprise of everyone, he's been very relevant. I think he is a guy who really benefits from Keenan Allen being out, and then obviously Eckler and Mike Williams, who just have to start every week, obviously. So the Chargers, they're -3 in Cleveland, which is a really interesting line because Cleveland right now are plus 3,500 to win the AFC on BetMGM, which I really want to like because they have so much upside when Deshaun Watson comes back later in the season. But if they lose this game after losing to your Jets and blowing that game against the Falcons, they're 2-3.
Really bad losses.
They're almost done at that point because the schedule gets really tough in the back end of the year.
And you brought up Gerald Everett last week, 5 catches on 6 targets, 61 yards and a touchdown. That was all in the first half. So when the Chargers have their foot on the gas, this is a high-octane passing offense. Let's take a look at BetMGM's regular season passing yards right now. We talked about Justin Herbert being the current leader, but this one's a little tighter, Jay. You have Josh Allen, obviously, right on his heels. Mahomes is always going to be in the mix, and we know how much the Bengals are going to lean on the pass with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and so this is one where I go the opposite way to the receiving yards,
the value,
where I like the 2 last guys on the screen. We're looking at Tom Brady at plus 1,800 and Jared Goff at plus 2,000. And the angle there is that, one, with Jared Goff, that defense is an abomination right now. It's really bad. And he's just going to pile up stats like he did against Seattle, because I think that the offense, particularly when Amon-Ra St. Brown comes back and DeAndre Swift, he's going to be able to pile up stats. But Brady plus 1,800 is the one I like, because just what he showed on Sunday night, that there were concerns that maybe there's something wrong with Brady coming into the game, or it's the offensive line. No, that offense looked fine against the Chiefs. Godwin was back, 10 targets, just looked like Chris Godwin again. Mike Evans back. And I think that Brady, who led the league in passing yards last year and just had 385, he has huge upside going forward. Despite everything going on with Tom Brady, he can still accumulate stats.
Yeah, and I think for Jared Goff, our big question with him was, what is he going to be like without Amon-Ra St. Brown out there? And he answered that pretty quickly.
Pretty fun.
It seems like it doesn't matter. Jared Goff in that Lions passing offense is going to be okay despite whoever is out. All right, let's finish on the Chargers here, because we did get caught up in the regular season passing yards. We talked about the boost that Gerald Everett seems to get, especially with Keenan Allen out, but also Austin Eckler finally having that week that everybody who drafted him in the first round kind of dreamed of. Now, is 3 touchdowns a week sustainable? Absolutely not. But the fact that second in target share at 18.8% since Keenan Allen has been hurt, it feels like they're remembering, oh yeah, we have Austin Eckler. Let's use him as much as we can once again.
Absolutely, particularly with Keenan Allen out. And the beauty of Eckler is that he just has such a high floor because of the receptions, particularly if you're in PPR leagues, naturally. And so that gives him almost a higher floor than, say, a Jonathan Taylor, who's just going to have games occasionally, like really kind of like the past 3 weeks where there's just no efficiency on the ground, then he's just done. But Eckler certainly has that higher floor, and good to see that he can still put up those monster numbers. I mean, in terms of running backs that you want the rest of the season, I think Saquon is number 1, and then after that might be Austin Eckler. Nick Chubb is in the mix there as well, but I think Eckler has a case for number 2.
Yeah, the running back market has gotten very, very strange. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster for even somebody like Aaron Jones, who is traditionally very, very reliable, and then you have the breakouts from Josh Jacobs this week. And
the great Josh Jacobs.
The great Josh Jacobs is back.
Forgot about him.
Hall of Fame game legend. And then, of course, to wrap up the Chargers offense, Mike Williams quietly wide receiver 20 on the season. He's played 90% of the offensive snaps of the last 2 weeks. Over 100 receiving yards in the last 2 or 3 games. So Mike Williams, after a little bit of panic in week 1, has kind of calmed the fantasy community down. But no better way to close out our opening headline segment than legend Blake Bortles announces his retirement. It felt like Blake Bortles was just hanging around the league for a long time. Bring it in. There it is.
Blake Bortles. I wore this on CNBC on the debut. Look at that, Blake Bortles. Now, the thing that people don't remember about Blake Bortles, 2017 AFC title game in Foxborough, he went head-to-head with Tom Brady. He almost outplayed Tom Brady.
I was going to say.
He could have been a Super Bowl quarterback, Blake Bortles. It almost happened to you. But the Jags got screwed on a fumble call, and Blake Bortles never made it to the big dance. Never got a Super Bowl. But you're a Super Bowl champion on this show, Blake. And we love the Jags this year.
We do love the Jags.
Favorites in the AFC South right now.
And you tried to warn people, I believe at least a week ago, get the ticket while you can. And listen, it was a mess of a game against the Eagles. Yes, they lost. Lawrence had turnovers, but they still look like a really good team every single week.
I think so, and I think they're the best team in that division. And that's more a reflection on the AFC South than the Jacksonville Jaguars. But and the main thing is that, no offense, Blake Bortles, we love you, and your jersey's going up on the wall, but they don't have Blake Bortles anymore. They got Trevor Lawrence,
big difference.
Gives them a bit of a ceiling. So we like the Jags.
All right.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, okay? Respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.